Oh, hey everybody, this is Shelby with Bonding with Board Games. Been having some people, and the chief asked me to show him some painting videos. Been kind of switching over to using some inks instead of all acrylics. Got a lot of acrylics here. I sometimes thin them with inks, a lot of glazes and stuff. Me and the kids been painting some Super Dungeon Explorer here lately, which has turned out pretty cool. We have a never-ending supply of that. But this just came in the mail today. Scythe Collector Kickstarter Edition. So we're going to open this baby up. I'm going to get started and kind of show you guys how I paint my miniatures, and watch along, maybe learn a little something. Maybe I'll learn something at the same time. Thanks. Oh, you gotta love Stegmeyer Games. He puts some thought into everything he does. Cool little box here for all the miniatures. A little padding there on the mechs. We got 5 different players and their colors. We'll pop these out and glue them on some bases and start to go to town. One thing I notice is this guy here is a little bent on his barrel. If you dunk him in some boiling water or near boiling water and then hit him in some ice cold water, that'll straighten that kind of stuff up. Whenever possible, I like to get into the rule book or the player aid sometimes and get the art that they have for the characters you're painting and use them as a reference. I'll usually just set them out near the painting table while I'm playing and try to get some colors that match fairly closely. It doesn't have to be exact, but you hate to paint something totally the wrong color and you're like, oh man, I should have painted something different. So I always try to look. A lot of times in the rule book they'll have art too for some of the different characters. Another nice touch of Stonemeyer stuff is he's got the bases on the model matching which mechs you have, which is really ingenious because normally you have to look through the rule book like, what in the heck am I doing? Which color's which? Sometimes they don't make sense, but hey, blue guys would go with blue guys. And that's pretty sweet. It really does not get much easier than painting black figures. So I think we'll start with them and then see where that leads us. First thing I generally do with the models, I get some hot glue and a drywall nail. They're kind of cupped, they hold the glue real well. Squirt that on there. Stick the model onto it, and then you can spin it really well and easily while you're painting it, and you can kind of get to all the areas without ever touching the base or the model itself. Sometimes, depending on what I'm painting, I'll prime everything all at once. But since this is kind of exclusively the black clan here that we're using, we'll just prime these guys black to start out with. In general, you want to stay away from any enamel paints. Just use some regular old spray paint. It works for plastic. Shake your cans really well. Shake it for a minute or two, like it says on the bottle. Don't try to rush it. Armory makes some good stuff you can use. Army Painter's pretty good. I haven't tried the Rust-Oleum Universal. I'm going to try that today. It was like $3. I'll also bring it over here and I'm going to spray my models. I'm not going to show you because I need 2 hands to spin the models as I paint them. Don't rush it. You can do a couple light coats, but don't get too much or you'll lose some detail. In construction as well as models, I find humidity is your enemy. So if you're going to paint outside, and especially in the summer and spring, it's you got a lot of moisture in the air. Spray it, get it right in the house, get it in the air conditioning, get a fan on it, and let it dry. Don't be in too much of a rush. You can spend $15 on Army Painter stuff, or you can spend $3 at the hardware store. Sometimes the $2 stuff is just fine. If you ever run across it after you've got it primed and it's tacky, it's sticky, just stop what you're doing, find some paint thinner, get that paint off of there, and try a different brand of paint. If it's ever tacky after 20-30 minutes, it's still got some tack to it, just stop and redo what you're doing, buy a different brand of paint. Every once in a while I'll try a new brand of paint and I'll get bit. It's like, ugh! But if you ever start painting it while it's tacky, if it doesn't dry out and you're going to paint it anyway, it's never right. Even through your other coats of paint, it'll be tacky. So make sure once you got it primed, give it time to dry, and then go from there. Make sure when you touch it, your finger's not sticking to it all. It's just like touching anything else. It's nice and dry. While I was waiting for my black paint to dry, I went ahead and glued all my other guys on their nails. Using a black model at first is almost cheating because they're so easy. We just primed this with spray paint, and what I like to use is some Citadel Dry, And really, I know I'm doing a thing on inking, but you can use any color of paint. Just get a little on your brush, wipe 80 or 90% of it off, and then just go over. I'm lazy, I just do it on my thumb. But then just go over your model real lightly, and it'll just adds all sorts of highlights. My grandpa used to work at a lawn and garden type store, and he painted all the concrete animals and stuff. He called this antiquing, just kind of a good way of calling it. You just do this over the whole model, it gives it a nice, really cool effect. And these models in this game are not amazing at all. They're strictly decent board game models, which is fine. I got a little too much that time. It was getting a little heavy on there. Normally you don't go straight to dry brushing, but this is just a black model, so you don't have to do much with it and have it turn out. This just shows you the difference. This is, you know, less than 5 minutes worth of work just to spray paint it and a dry brush it. Alright, trying to get into some inks. This character here, Gunther Nacht und Tag. Got kind of a gray jacket, got the black wolf, got real dark pants. You can buy inks, they got tons of different colors. I like getting them at Hobby Lobby. They're $6, can't see it there. They have a 40% off coupon every week. 6 times 4 is 24. You can get it for like $3.80, which is kind of cool. And you can kind of make whatever colors you want sometimes. So you're going for a gray, so you shake them real good. You get a dot of black, which is super dark, and a dot of white. Mix those together, and you'll have a pretty decent gray, which is kind of cool. I use some baby food lid containers sometimes. If you're going to do a bunch of models with the same color, you get these little snap together containers that you get a whole bunch of them for $3 or $4 and make some colors that way. And where did that model go? Here he is. Really don't need anything on the wolf, but we do need to do his coat, which is just the base coat. You can just get it on there. And the cool thing about the inks is they're just super duper thin, so they go on really well, almost like you're using a marker. It doesn't even feel like you're painting. It just stays wet on your brush real long, and it really doesn't add any material to it. So pretty much everything that's gray on him I'll just hit with the gray. His pants were real dark, almost a black, so we'll just leave them alone. Just dry brush them later and call it good. You got a nice flesh tint ink you can use. You can add a lot of other colors to it also, raw umber or some browns or some whites to change the colors of the models. But it's a good base color you can use. Doing a guy's face, which is fairly small. You get a kind of a smaller brush for that. Let's see here. These guys are pretty tiny. I'll do the skin color first. The inks are pretty thin, so sometimes if you're doing a white or something along these lines, you have to do it twice. You could hit it with a white, the first coat, and then the skin color, but it's alright. It's so thin it really doesn't add any depth to anything, and it's a decent enough base coat to get something like their face. Got more of a brown holster and whatnot, so you use some burnt umber. So I'm just going to go over his holster area with the brown. It's still pretty dark, even his belt while we're at it. And that's that, and then I'll dry up. In this picture he had a little maroon on his collar, so I've got some kind of rust red all toss on there. Painting models, it's just kind of it's a real process. At the beginning, nothing looks real great. You just slowly keep messing with it, and it looks better and better the more you do. But at some point, you have to call it quits, because you could just go on forever. Trying to see if I can film through my magnifying glass I use here. I've got a kind of a lit magnifying glass. I got an Office Max. Trying to paint this guy's buttons. He's not a great model, so not super detailed, but I'll try to see if I can get a dot, 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 dot. Kind of hard to do. It's just all the little details that add up. He's got a few more on his little stripe on his helmet. The wolf has some crazy eyes. Let's see if we can get them. Even though we kind of have to make them on this model because they're not really there. There's one. And another. Not too bad. Hit his buttons and some stuff on his hat while you guys weren't looking. And he's got a little edge on his collar. I think I'll just hit that with some white here, which is awfully hard to do looking through my iPhone. Just on the very edge. Got a little bit of raw sienna ink. Let's see what that does to this. Just wanting to color it a little bit. That's looking a little ridiculous at the moment, but we'll just keep working on it till we get it like we like it. Other thing too on some of the stuff, you know, you're going to be looking at it from 3-4 feet away mostly. When you're looking at this closely, sometimes it's like, it doesn't look as good, but I just gotta let it go. It's just another step there. While we're letting that goofy stuff dry, I think I'll try to hit his big wolf here a little bit with some dry brushing. I've got some Longbeard Gray, some Citadel. Just make sure you get most of it off of your brush before you do it. Really wish these models had more detail on them, but you're gonna get what you get. I think after I'm done with Scythe, we'll paint something up that's got some good detail, and then we can go into more depth on how to do some cool stuff. I don't know, it's going to make this guy look a little more gray than black, but I want to be able to see some of the stuff. The other way you could do it is could have painted him a little more gray and then gone over him with black. So at least you can see some detail on him. Looks like he's got some fur. I think to do his eyes, I want the tiniest bit of a little Lamenter's yellow, which is an out of stock color now. So if you can find it, you can get it for like $1/4 a pot, 50 cents a pot at some game stores. So put a dot on each eye and let that dry up, make him look a little more scary. I had it get a little too much under his eyelid. It kind of ran out a little bit, so just hit that with a brush while it's still wet and take it right off of there. And we're still waiting a little bit. I think I'm going to hit his coat and everything with some more Longbeard Gray, the dry brushing. This will bring out all the details in his pants and boots and jacket and whatnot. And you can kind of dry brush with other colors too, as long as you don't have to use a dry, just get almost all the paint off your brush. Not do much work. Focus on the edge of his coat there, make it a little more distinct. Since this model is going to be on a table and fairly far away. I think I'd like to make that maroon color a little bit brighter red so it kind of pops and stands out a little more on the table. Kind of yellow edge down and hit his beard with a little bit of a shade also. Another thing too, it's like, hey, the front of his collar's red. Yeah, but the back of it is black. Well, oh well. So just get a little dot of black, and black pretty much will take care of anything. And this with the inks, it's heavy duty pigment in it. Kind of got his helmet dry brushed a little too much. I'm just hitting the middle of it. I'm going to leave the edges alone and try to hit the middle with the black. I know it's technically not white on these little spots I made them, so I'll hit those with some silver here in a minute. Since they're kind of wandering around in the snow, I'm going to make some snow for these guys' bases. I know it's the black team. We'll put a black stripe around the bottom of the base when we're done. I find if you get some sawdust and mix it with kind of whatever color you're wanting, so I'm going to get some white and black acrylic paint, just mix that with the sawdust, and then we'll put some of that on the bases. It's super simple. This stuff's really pretty cool for doing bases. I did a lot of it in Blood Rage and stuff to add some texture. Then you could paint it afterwards, you know, dry brush it or shade it. You can kind of build it up as much as you want, make it look like grass or sand, or hoping this will kind of look like snow. It's hard not to get carried away after you're done though and get it on there and then want to shade it and dry brush it and this and that and the other. And the more you do to it, the better it looks. But it just depends on how much time you want to spend on it. Sometimes the main character is worth spending a little more time on, and then not quite as much as on the lackeys. I like to just drop it up in there and slowly shove it up to what you're working on, not try to, you don't want to get it on the guy's boots or the wolf's feet. Alright, I'm just going to keep doing that, and I'll do the other bases and show you what that looks like here in a second. There's the model just kind of as we had it with the black spray paint on the base. He's had a big groove in the bottom too, it really stands out. And here we are with the sawdust paint mixture. And I also threw a few just little pebbles, some sand from the driveway in there with it and hit it, so it looks like they're kind of going through a rocky terrain. But that's quite a difference just between a plain base and these guys looking like they're tromping through the snow. And then we will paint this bottom edge stripe to black to match our clan. We're almost done with this guy. I'm going to hit his skin with a little bit of Reichland Flesh Shade, which the shade stuff from Citadel is just awesome. Let's just hit it and it does the, somebody, was it Robert Oren, called it liquid magic. Somebody called it liquid magic, I don't know who it was. But I put it in there, it adds a lot of definition. We'll, sometimes can't use too much. So we'll do that, and we're getting really close. I'd like his beard to stand out a tiny bit more, so I'm going to hit this with a shade called Newland Oil, which is kind of a black shade. Hopefully there's some definition in this stupid model that'll leave some. What this stuff does, it sinks into the low points and then you have more definition. This is such a, I should say these models are fine, but after doing Blood Rage, it's like these models are not fine. I got a little too much in his mouth there, so I'll hit it with a dry brush. A brush that is dry and get that out of there. We're going to call that gross enough. Kind of the final thing we're going to do on these models. We could do a lot more on these guys, but they're kind of ticking me off as low quality as they are. I don't want to spend any more time on them because you can't really show that much off. What I'm doing is just hitting the very bottom stripe here with black ink. Get rid of our little bit of white and whatnot we had on there. Nice thing about the nails I use, you can just spin it around. So I'm gonna hit this one and all the guys, or the mechs, then I'll show you what kind of sealer I put on them and we'll be done. I was doing the bases and I had a little ink left on my brushes, and I started hitting some little spots like this with the black that was on there, and I can't help myself. I can't stop. Somebody stop me. But some of the little things you do can add a big difference to it. I hit on the top just a little bit between the areas. I darken that a little bit, and on the back sides just sets them off a little bit. Doesn't make it, it's not much, but it does make a bit of a difference when you have that extra definition in there. But by all means, stop whenever you want to. Now that I'm pretty much done, I like to spray my guys with a coat of clear matte sealer. You can use this stuff. They make some good stuff at Michael's or Hobby Lobby. You can always use your 40% off coupon. They've got some 2x clear that you put on, which is like a lot. It's a little thicker. I prefer a thin coat. And generally with my models, I'll coat them twice. Do them once, let them dry out, and then do them again. So I'm going to hit these guys twice, and then we'll have our final showdown. Alright, so we're pretty much done with the first faction of Scythe. Don't know if there's enough interest in these models, if you guys want me to do a how-to on the rest of them or not. Or I can just do them all and just show you at the end of it. I find that these models are not terribly detailed. If you look at them, they're okay. I've just been spoiled by Cool Mini or not. So I think they're going to be cool when they're done. They'll be cool on the table. It's just, it doesn't show off as much detail and cool effects that you can use on these models. So let me know in the comments below if you want, hey, show us a how-to on every other clan. I'll be happy to do it. I'll do it. No problem. I'm going to paint them anyway. Or I'll just paint them, show you at the end, hey, here's all the Scythe characters. Maybe when Conan comes in or something cool, I can get some other Cool Mini or not stuff I can paint up and show you how to do some of that stuff. Appreciate you guys watching, and this is Shelby with Bonding with Board Games, and we'll catch you next time.